If you're not feeling okay, you can't give all of your best self. So I think we need to learn to not be hard on ourselves, and that it is okay to not be okay.
Hey guys, Dr. Viv here, and welcome on Reset with Dr. Viv. Today I have got a special guest, Annette Whittenberger, and Annette is a retired Army veteran, mother, and also a military spouse of over 21 years. She is a mental health advocate and someone who has launched her blog, A Wild Rose Called Life, to sort of help people through their battles. Today, we're going to be talking about mental health, PTSD, and how she's been able to walk through all of that. But before we get into it, guys, if you're not already following me on YouTube, if you're not already subscribed to the podcast as well, hello, what's going on? All links are in description. And if you're not already following me on Instagram, on Facebook, on Twitter, all links are in description. I look forward to connecting with you all. So, Annette, lovely to have you on. How are we doing?
Good. Thank you so much for having me on here.
It's a pleasure. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Annette, wow, you are a retired Army combat veteran. Tell me all about that.
Yes. So I did. I retired almost 4 years ago, and I deployed to Iraq and Afghanistan, and I raised 2 children. And I don't. It's funny because sometimes I don't know how I did it.
I'm like, wow.
But I truly have to. I truly have to thank God and my family, because it wouldn't have happened without any of that.
Wow. Wow. And before you retired, how many years had you been doing that for?
It was over 17 years.
Wow. Sometimes when I hear people in the Army, I'm like, you carry guns? And someone said, Vivian, everyone in the Army almost carries guns.
Yes.
Wow. So tell me, what led you retiring, and what's your story?
So the reason I retired is I wasn't selected for the next promotion. Okay. And, there's various reasons why that's happened, but I honestly, I was devastated. Mm-hmm. But after a few years of just trying to find my place again, I realized that that's just what was meant to be. And that's why I'm on this journey now. But I would have stayed in 20 if I could have, but it's okay. I had other plans. God had other plans for me.
So God has other plans, and sometimes we don't see it. And and then somehow it begins to, reveal itself.
Yes.
You're also a military spouse. So yes. Your husband is also in the military as well.
Yes, we got married right before I graduated college, and it's all I've ever known. So to learn how to be a spouse and then a mom and a soldier all at the same time was very, very challenging. He has been in for almost 27 years. And so he will continue on until about 29, maybe 30. And then he says he's done. So we will see. But yes, it's military life is the only thing I know. So it's different.
Wow. There's so many questions I feel like I should I should ask about that. I'm always intrigued by the whole military thing. And to know that you're a sort of military family like this. Sounds like there's so many valuable lessons there, and and really interesting facts that you bring to the world, through all of that. And then you experience PTSD and depression and, anxiety. The thing is with PTSD, I tend to hear a lot about it in terms of, a lot of people, for example, from the military come out with PTSD. And then you hear people not fully understand what PTSD really is. What's your story around that? And
so what I've learned is that it doesn't only affect military. It affects any person walking on the street. And we just weren't really educated on it, because as I have gone through my own self-healing journey in the past 4 years, I've realized that I experienced PTSD young, around 9 years old, when I went through a traumatic incident. But I didn't know, because in that culture back then in the 80s, we just didn't really talk about it. It was, okay, it happened, go see a therapist, and then you just continue on with life. But you don't really understand it. So I grew up pushing that in the back of my head and my life, and just continuing on. And then throughout my teenage years and then adulthood and then the military, I also experienced other instances. But again, it was just the way that I was taught to, grieve for a minute, and then you just continue on. You can't really show the weakness. And so that's what I did. So I think finally when I retired, and not on my terms per se, that's when I broke. And that's when I realized that I had held on to so much in my 40 years of life that I couldn't really experience. I didn't have time to deal with it, that it just all came out. All of it came out through my childhood years all the way up until now. And I was like, oh my God, it was like anxiety attacks, panic attacks, like what's going on? How do I deal with it? And I was ashamed to talk about it, because that's what's happened in this world, is that there's that stigma that it's wrong to feel this way. And, that's why I think now I'm so open, and I'm so blessed to be in this space to say, no, it's okay. And you're not alone. And it was hard. It was hard to get to this place.
Wow. And like, I can totally relate on that point, because many of us were taught to just get on with it. Many people are just getting on with it without fully going through the process of the different emotions that are there. Something happens, grieve and, just move on. It's like, right. And it's really interesting to hear you sort of say that, and how it all was started in there, so to say. What were the signs for you?
So I was trying to figure all that out, actually, because I'm writing a book. And so I started to think back on what were some of the things. And I think it was just fear and not having anybody to talk to, really, because how do you bring that kind of thing up without people looking at you differently? Isolation, especially within the past 5 years, I experienced that myself. I just isolated myself. I didn't want to leave the house. I didn't really want to talk to anybody. I really didn't care about anything. It was like, okay, I'll get up. I still got to be a mom, so I'll make food, or then I'll go back to sleep. And it wasn't healthy, and people had to snap me out of it, because I would have probably continued to do that. But I think once I was able to talk about it and open up and have other people say, oh my gosh, I completely understand and I totally relate, that's when I said, okay, I'm not the only one. And something has to be done about it, but how do we do it? And so that's what I think drives me every day, is to, share my story and talk to other people and get them through it, because I understand how it feels. And I think that's the only way we're going to be able to save lives, is to help them know that they're not alone.
Yeah, because it's so easy to feel like you're the only one going through it.
Yes.
until you suddenly hear, oh, person A, person B, person C. Oh, so it's not just me.
Right.
It's
Exactly.
not just me. And somehow you're freed up, and this is something that I always share with my community, share with my friends and all about the power of like say speaking, because so many times we sort of keep it all in there because we think we shouldn't talk, and it gets stored up, and you suddenly realize, oh, so I didn't need to suffer that much because,
Right.
so that's honestly, and that's what you just said, that was it's so powerful. So powerful, and the power of sharing, because by you also doing what you're doing with your book, by your blog, what you also do, you're lifting others up, thereby lifting up your own self and finding um, purpose through it.
Yeah.
At what point did you accept it? Because that's often the hardest bit. A lot of people live in denial over what it is that they are going through. At what point did you accept it?
So for me, unfortunately, my daughter and I were in a car accident in August 2018, and it was a type of car accident that no one understood how we survived. And I think as I was in the hospital for 5 weeks and several surgeries, and I was mad at the world, I had nurses and doctors keep telling me, God must have a plan for you. And I used to get angry at
Wow.
hearing that, because I still was mad that this guy hit us, and he took away an opportunity from my daughter, and now I have all these broken ribs. And I had to actually have a priest come into the hospital and talk me out of my feeling sorry for myself, and realizing that I was still here for a reason, and I really needed to stop feeling sorry for myself all the years prior. And there was obviously a message that was being sent to us, and it was time for me to listen. And so I started to be grateful that I survived, grateful that there wasn't any internal injuries. There's just all these little things that I had to learn to be grateful for, instead of being angry that I have scars and, things like that. So that was my wake up call, unfortunately. And I'm just, I'm no longer upset about it. I'm a little bit more at peace about it, but it's sometimes we need to be shaken up. Not that drastically, but for me, that's what it was. He was like, listen, if you're not going to listen, then here's the wake up call. And I'm like, okay, I got it. I'm here. I'm listening. So now, yeah, that's what it was. And I've never been so awake.
Wow, wow, wow. It's almost like I say, finding the silver lining and finding the things to be grateful for. It's interesting you said all that, and I'm like, wow, because when you said that thing of, okay, you're not listening, so I'm sending you something else for you to sort of wake up. It's so profound, But I find it so important that people hear what you said about, I have those moments when I wasn't feeling great, because oftentimes people don't give themselves that space to feel the sadness at all. We jump from this has happened into it's all good without going through that middle phase that you experienced, and then coming to accept it.
Yeah.
And finding and finding the bits to be thankful for, even after the experience. There are people right now that are going through different things. Some of them are dealing with stuff from childhood that they did not grieve through. Some of them have, they've just gone through stuff. People are going through stuff every day, and they're just, guess what? Moving on, like nothing has happened. People are going through depression right now and feeling like they're not allowed to talk about it, or they shouldn't. bear in mind that I'm thankful at least that the whole thing around mental health is becoming more of an open conversation. So that's one thing that has changed in the world. And it's not perfect yet, but at least it's a step in the right direction. What will you be saying to those people about how they process the things that have gone on in them?
I think, as you mentioned, we don't go through that middle phase. I think it's very important to give yourself enough grace to do that. If you're not feeling okay one day, take the day off. We are so hard on ourselves, feeling like we have to accomplish something every single day or we're a failure. I have learned that there are days where I can't. I mentally just can't. And I had to learn to step away and go do something else and not feel guilty about it. Because you know what? You can't, if you're not feeling okay, you can't give all of your best self. So why just give half of an effort when you could give all of your effort? So I think we need to learn to not be hard on ourselves and that it is okay to not be okay. And when I heard that a couple of years ago, I was like, that's it. It is okay to not be okay. And turn your mess into your message. Another thing that I live by.
Say that again.
Your mess is your message.
Wow.
I live by that all the time, every day, and I always try to say it because it's huge. It is huge. So it's okay if you're going through something. How are you going to turn it around tomorrow? How can you make it better? But you can't be so hard on yourself. And that's what's so difficult in this world, is we are so hard. We need to give ourselves grace. We need to be kinder to our souls, because is that how you would treat somebody else? We are so quick to forgive other people and be nice to them and walk them through their troubles, but we don't do that to ourselves. And I did that for 40 some years. So it's time to stop. It's time to take a break if you need it. Whatever it is, if you meditate, if you read, I listen to music and I sing right here at my computer, because that's what gets me through it, and I feel so much better. So whatever it is, you need to find that. And it's so hard, but I think through this process and all the people that I've spoken with, in almost every situation, someone else is going through it too. So we need to find our people. We need to find our tribe. And we need to say, hey, I'm not okay. I need someone to talk to. I had that the other day with my friend. She's like, I need a friend. When can you talk? Okay. And that's all it takes. And, I've had strangers reach out to me either through Instagram or my website, and I will always be there without any judgment whatsoever, because that's what we need more of, is people that are not so quick to criticize. We need to, whether it's a veteran or not, a regular person off the street, we need to remember that everybody's going through their own struggle. Who are we to judge them for it? Because what if that happens to us or our own family member? Can't do that.
Wow. I almost felt like a tear was about coming off my eyes. Wow. Such powerful words, Annette, such powerful words. And I think it's a reminder to everyone, there are some things that I myself have been through in life, and, has made me really think about life more differently, because a lot of times we're just going on this path, right? Yep. And life slaps us one way and life slaps us another way. And we're like, I didn't see the slaps coming, and I didn't tell you to slap me and slap life left and right again, but even more interestingly is the point around, people and how people see us and how people help us, because it's easy to judge someone else until you wear their shoes, or until you step into their shoes, or until life gives you your own slap and you realize, hold on, I wasn't even prepared for this myself. So it's so I hear what you're saying, and it's like so important that people listen more and are more empathetic and less judgmental about each other and about situations. And the world needs kindness, and we need kindness to ourselves, because many times it's easy for us to say, oh, sorry, and be more compassionate to other people. But when it is us,
yeah, it doesn't happen.
no. No, and that's often the hardest bit. Even when things happen, forgiving yourself is often the hardest bit.
Very, very hard.
Yeah. So for those who you give some, I picked up on some things you said there around meditation, around, listening to music and messages and things like that. What else do you do to keep your mental health in a good place?
Netflix is my friend. Netflix and Hulu, because sometimes you just need to watch something to get your mind off of everything. And sometimes that show actually brings a whole new perspective on what you're going through. Sometimes you hear a message and you're like, oh my gosh. And so I'm not telling people to binge watch, but sometimes that's what I do because I need to step away. And so that's what helps me, or a call, or if you drink tea or coffee, or have that second cup of coffee. If you want it, have it. And, there's just little things that you would think, no, I can't do that. Yes, you can. Yes, you can. Step away. One of my friends told me to dance it out. She says that she blocks time daily for about 30 minutes to just get up and dance it out, because you get so focused on sitting behind your computer and working that you forget to eat, you forget to drink, you forget to realize that there's another life outside of this, this computer screen. So turn on some music and dance it out. Everybody likes some sort of music. Yeah. And so I think I need to try that. And there's just things that you wouldn't even think of that you should try it. You never know what it could do for you and for your soul and for your mind. And so Netflix for me, Hulu, music, and just step outside and breathe in that air that you forget is out there because you're inside these walls.
Wow, and we've all had to be inside quite a bit.
Yes.
Wow. So book time to dance.
Yes, definitely.
Wow. Okay. And for those who say, okay, fine, I accept now that, this PTSD or anxiety or depression is something that I may be feeling, what first step do you think they should take to heal?
The first step I think you need to do is, after you accept it, is, are you ready to talk about it? Because if you keep holding it in and you don't find someone to talk about it with, then that's not really helping at all. So once you accept it, find that friend and say, I really need to talk about this. Please just listen. I don't want advice. I just need you to hear me. And now there's so many people out there that are going through the same thing, whether you want to see a therapist or not. I fully, I've had a therapist for a while, and I don't know, in different locations that you could do it virtually. That has helped me tremendously, just to have somebody's face on the other side listening to me. I think we just need to find that, and it's scary. But once you find that, it changes everything.
Wow. Okay. Wow. So guys, please, you hear it. You hear it. Talk about it. Seek help. So important, especially in the climate that we are. Annette, if someone or people wanted to reach you or get in touch, how can they connect with you?
You can find everything about me at awildridecalledlife.com.
A wild life sorry, I said that wrong. A wild rose called life.com.
A wild ride called life.com.
A wild ride called life.com. Guys, a wild ride, I'm repeating it again. A wild ride called life.com. And the link, will be in the description as well to connect with Annette. Annette, it's been such a pleasure having you on and, talking about this, especially in this climate that we are. your story is beautiful. And, you talk there about even things like leaving the role that you were, even not on your terms.
Right.
We are in times where a lot of people have had to leave what they are doing, not necessarily on their terms. What do you say to those people?
I've had to look at it as a positive thing. I've finished this chapter of my book. Now I need to start a second chapter. If that you finish that journey, so now it was time for you to do something else. And if we look at it as a positive thing, then it won't be, won't be as hard. We won't be as hard on ourselves or feel like such a failure. I think you just need to look at it as, okay, finish this chapter. Now it's time for the next one. Or I close this door. Now it's time to open up a new one. Because God has a plan. It's just hard for us to see it. It's there, though. I promise it's there.
Wow. Guys, it's a new chapter. We're closing the old one and we're opening up the new one. Annette, thank you so much. You have been so amazing. And there's a lot of beautiful stuff there to help everyone at this time, even as we begin to navigate and bounce back. It has been a true pleasure having you on Reset with Dr. Viv. Well, guys,
thank you so much.
I hope that you have found this helpful. Remember, if you have not yet connected with me, do so. Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, all links are in description. And if you have not yet subscribed to YouTube or the podcast, don't know what you're waiting for again. Do so. All links are in description. It's been amazing to have Annette on, and all her links will be in the description. Feel free to reach out and connect with her as well. Until next time, take care, stay well, and God bless.